RSVPs, save the dates, invites, thank you cards. There's a lot of writing involved for getting people to your wedding and thanking them for coming. Thankfully, I sit down this week with some of the leading wedding industry professionals and ask their opinion about the rules, do's and don'ts about RSVPs, invites, save the dates, and thank you cards.
Yeah, send invitations, make it easy for your guests. Don't have the option of doing paper invites and online RSVPs. Pick one, or the other. Make it easy. Don't leave it to the guest's interpretation of what you're trying to invite. We once, my husband and I recently were invited to a 2-day wedding. I, as a guest, don't know if I'm invited to the ceremony day 1, the reception day 2, both. I don't know. And I'm a wedding planner and I don't even know. That's some serious confusion on the part of the guest who's just a normal guest. Make it easy for them to understand that they need to send it back by a certain date, that there's a hotel room block you need to book by. If you have a lot of information, use a wedding website, put that information on your invitation that says, for more information, reach out to our wedding website. And people will call if they have questions, and expect calls because you're always gonna have great Aunt Sally who doesn't have an online RSVP opportunity. So expect phone calls too.
Yeah, all of that is important. I think the save the dates particularly because, I don't know, as I'm getting older, time is just flying by. So the more I can schedule and know what's coming at me for the year, it just makes it better to plan by. Yeah, if you were having a wedding where it was just in your home, people could come and go as they please, sure. But very few people are. So you have to have the consideration of saying, yes, I will be attending or not. Because couples need to plan for that, need to know exactly what their counts are to give the rest of us, which is super important to know what the counts are, your table count, your guest count, all of that. We need to know that. And then thank you cards, I feel like, there's nothing like receiving, a note in the mail saying thanks for being with us, just that touch and really making it clear that you were just so happy to have someone there for your day.
That's always the funniest part, I think, is the RSVPs for brides. They just can't believe that people will not respond. And I'm always at my final details meeting about 3 to 4 weeks before the wedding, and they are so frustrated, and they're like, there's about 15 people, they will not answer me, I've been texting them, they won't say. Advice for the bride and groom is that you are going to have to call, text, and email people at the end. You just will have to. People are just, that's the way that they are. Here's something about invites, I think, from a venue perspective, because a lot of people will give their guests a choice meal on there. So say you do a chicken, a beef, and a seafood. And I have to tell brides all the time, do not put a vegetarian as an official choice. Really? Because you'll end up with 50 vegetarians. You don't have 50 vegetarians, they just want the eggplant parmesan, okay? So you have a chicken, a beef, and a seafood. What you do is underneath that in smaller writing, you write vegetarian and allergies by request only in smaller writing. So then whoever truly is a vegetarian, a vegan, gluten-free, whatever, will write in something. So that's always kind of something that's important.
That's super good to know.
Yeah, I know. Okay. A lot of people don't know that one.
But I do think it's important to give your guests plenty of notice. A lot of people send out save the dates with everybody's busy schedules. I think that's important to kind of give people a heads up of, this is when our wedding is going to be in 8 months, and then follow up later with your invitation. RSVPs, we require as caterers all of our protein RSVPs to be in 3 weeks before the wedding. So you want to make sure that you're getting those RSVPs back a minimum of, no later than a month before. That way it gives you plenty of time to get them organized and get them to your caterer on time so that they can do everything that they need to do. And then no matter how relaxed your event is or how informal, I do think that it's always nice to be polite and just thank your guests for showing up. Thank them if they gave you a gift, and make your mom proud.
I think the wisest way to handle RSVPs is to have them back in your hands a month before your wedding date. There will always be stragglers, And a venue or a caterer or hotel, they're gonna want the final count a week before. So if you do it really anytime after that month, you're really short on time trying to get all this information. Save the date 6 to 9 months in advance, and thank you cards, you have 3 months.
RSVPs should be like sent in, I think, at least a month before the wedding. And then thank you cards, at least within a year, would be nice. Save the dates, people do anywhere from 6 months to a year. So I would say at least 6 months.
Okay, biggest one for thank you cards, write them personally, handwrite them. Don't send in photos like with a generic message. People don't feel special. They took the time to come to your day. Make sure you handwrite them a thank you note so that people actually, they feel like they took the time and somebody cared about them too, right? RSVP cards, make sure you have the date due of the RSVP. Make sure if there's a menu choice that you offer that in there, that people can select chicken or beef or veggie. Any dietary restrictions, put that in there. Send the invitation suite out 8 weeks before your wedding. If you send it out way too far in advance, people will procrastinate, right? If you send it out too late, people might not have time and they might not be able to come, right? Save the dates should go out 6 to 9 months or maybe even more ahead of time. Anything that's like way more than the calendar year ahead of time, so if it's like 18 months ahead of time, people are gonna forget what year you're getting married in.
Thank you cards. I always say, like, for brides, they always ask that, like, when you get your professional pictures back, pick one that you like. Like, that would be a good timing after the wedding to do a thank you card. Like, wait for your pictures to come in.
So with Eagle Ridge being a resort destination wedding, you'll want to get save the dates out as soon as you book your wedding date so that your guests can book their accommodations as soon in advance as they know they're able to attend. Same thing when you send out your RSVPs after you have your tasting and make your meal selections. Send those out and include information on how to book your accommodations and get your wedding discounted rate.
I think RSVPs are good to have. Will people respond with them? You hope that your guests will. You probably want to send them out 2 to 3 months before the event because there are seasons that are more popular than others. There may be multiple events happening between communions and weddings and bridal showers and baby showers. You want to make sure that people know so they can schedule that. Also, people that are traveling from afar want to know in advance. So that's when I think save the dates are important. If you have a lot of out-of-town guests, make sure they have that, 6 months in advance. They can take time off from work and they can actually schedule that. And sometimes they have to take their own vacation time to be able to work your event into their schedule. They have families. And we want to think that we're the only thing happening that year, but unfortunately it's not the case. So they're important to do, absolutely. Invitations come right after all of that. Of course, so they know where they're going. Thank you cards. I was bad about mine. I had so much going on with the business. I actually sent out my thank you cards almost 2 years after. I know. But I think a year is the most that you should do. I'm terrible, I know. Don't judge me. I sew beautiful wedding dresses.
RSVPs, definitely get those because there are certain things that you just can't do until you know how many people are coming. And that's also something where from like our perspective, you might decide I have 180 people coming. I thought I had 240. Now let's add in some lighting or let's add in some different aspects that you wouldn't know if you didn't have those RSVPs. Plus you're prepared to have enough seats for everybody, to have enough, enough food, enough of everything that you need. Thank you cards, send them out and send them out quick. It says you have up to a year, but I feel like you have to stay relevant. Everything is so fast paced now. Like if I go to a wedding and I get a thank you a year later, I'm like, wow, that was super late. Like, you do have that etiquette wise, but I'd say get them out as soon as you can, just to let your guests know that you appreciate them coming. I think handwritten is definitely the way. I feel like that really shows like you cared enough to invest your time to come to my wedding. I cared enough to invest my time to thank you for it.
So save the dates. You probably want to send out 9 to 12 months ahead of time, depending on where you're at. But for your actual invitation, isn't that like 2-ish months? Thank you cards should be out as soon as you possibly can. We've had some that come like 6 months later. You're like, oh, I forgot I didn't get a thank you card from you. But usually within about 1 to 2 months if you can. Okay. If you're going on a super long honeymoon, your guests probably don't care as much if it takes up to 3 months, but just be nice to people, send them out. I know it sucks to write them, I know it sucks to write them. I did that. Been married. Like, just do it anyway.
It makes everyone feel appreciated for all the time that they put into your wedding.
Yeah.
We hope this episode of Vendors helps you on your wedding planning. Be sure to like, follow, subscribe, and to share to make sure you and your fellow planning couples don't miss a single episode. If you enjoyed watching this video, be sure to check out our entire conversation in the podcast. You can find all of today's vendors and their contact information in the details below this video. And be sure to check out all of our episodes about these amazing wedding industry professionals. We'll see you next time on Vendors. Vendors is produced and edited by Night Owls Media. More information can be found at nightowlsmedia.com.